Now, what's a toy maker without his toys? Today we're going to be going over the mechanics of the Toymaker Artificer.
Welcome to Forge Fridays. Here we are again. We don't know if you like this series or you hate it, but we're still doing it
because we'll do it regardless. Yes.
Yeah, we're having fun. Welcome to our third Forge Friday here, and we are continuing on the Artificer that we're making the Toymaker.
Oh, and what an exciting episode this has been kind of coming up to, because we've been talking about all this stuff about artificers and toy makers and what they could do, but now we actually get to decide what they actually do. This is the mechanics of the subclass.
We sat here for... It felt like 10, 20 minutes, but
then we saw like 2 or 3 hours passing the clock.
Yeah, it took a while to come up with ideas for this thing and actually make it work with mechanics on it. But I think we have some pretty good ideas.
Yes.
And we are set for this to actually be released in a week or so.
And I think one of the big things that we kind of ran into was, regarding how we wanted to do these toys, right? Because, Artificer gets the infusions, they can replicate magic items, and how we wanted to implement that, there was talks about maybe it's a separate mechanic, things like that, but ultimately we decided that the toys are actually going to be included as infusions on the Artificer subclass list.
Right, and we started with that and going, well, wait a minute, they don't get to be a toy maker until 3rd level, and you can get your infusions at 2nd.
Yeah,
and you missed that. But we forgot for the fact that you can swap out your infusions when you level.
Yep.
And, there are already creation of magic items that are there, so that's what we're starting with that. So at 3rd level, we decided, obviously, you're going to get the proficiency in woodcarver tools.
Kind of a given, I would hope. We kind of looked at the tools. I think wood carving kind of makes the most sense. Most of the tools on the list that we kind of created probably could be made with wood.
That's true. That's true. There's a few that can't.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. It works around. So we thought we would include that. And then you get your toy infusions at 3rd level.
And this is the feature that is going to separate this class from the other artificers. Like we said earlier, yes, if you play different artificer, you keep going, you could infuse and make one of the toys, but you're not going to get some of the special features that this toy maker is going to be getting.
Right. In fact, I think we're going to end up restricting it to these are just infusions that the toy maker can make.
Yeah.
So exactly. That way no other artificers are messing around with your toys.
Yeah, it makes it more special that way.
Right. So we're going to do that. Obviously, those toys will be ranked in the order of what level they are and all that. But what's really cool about this is the Artificer at 3rd level as well, the Toymaker at 3rd level as well, gets the Imagination ability.
But this is really, really cool because it kind of separates it from the rest of these Artificer subclasses. Right. Essentially, yes, we have a list of new toys that are going to be included as infusion options for the subclass. But the Imagination ability is essentially going to be a bonus action that the toy maker can actually do on someone's toy or their own toy that they have equipped. And it actually provides an additional buff on top of whatever the toy already does.
Right. So it's kind of like a little bit of bardic inspiration.
Yeah.
But it only affects the toy that they already have. So it's kind of like you would have it equal to your spellcasting modifier, the number of times you can do it
precisely.
Per day. You can do it that way. And it gives the toy another ability, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and this is probably the longer portion of what we're working on, because not only did we have to kind of figure out how to do this Imagination ability, then we had to start looking at all the toys that we had kind of these options for and create a base function and an Imagination function.
Right. And it really got really crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
We kind of want to hide the toys from you guys.
At least for now, yeah.
Until, the release or what have you. But that is going to happen here in a week or two. So, there we go. But then we had to look at the other level abilities on that. And usually at, 5th level, the Artificer gets an ability that usually backs up something or makes something better.
Yeah, and it's interesting as you kind of look at the Artificer's, level progression, a lot of it is really just, improving on that core mechanic. And I noticed because, the Artificer has all these options for infusing and making magic items, the subclass features really focus in on taking that level 3 mechanic and just making it better and better and better. And level 5 is no exception. So at level 5, you get this ability where any toy that you are actually using yourself is already buffed. You don't have to use a bonus action to imaginate yourself because, I mean, you're the toy maker. I would hope you can imaginate.
Yeah, I mean, if you couldn't, you wouldn't have those really awesome creative toys that you can make. Mm-hmm. So this, if you look at it, is a buff ability only for the Artificer themselves, the Toymaker Artificer themselves. It allows you not to have to use a slot in order to magically imagine your own usable toys that you're using. Mm-hmm. But it's also kind of a neat thing because you can equip those, you can make those pretty quickly, and it gives you that. It doesn't really do anything for the party, but if you look at other artificers, they don't really do anything for a party on 5th level either.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of the 5th level abilities are a little bit more minor compared to the next two, actually. So here you kind of usually, at least from what we're seeing, you include like a slight buff to the core mechanic.
Right, exactly. And that's what we did with that one. And then you end up, now we're getting into the 9th and the 15th level abilities.
Yes.
Now the 9th level ability in most artificers has two things that it does. Like there's usually one minor portion of it and one really big thing.
I'm laughing because this 9th level ability, I think, was probably the hardest one.
Yeah.
We spent the most time on this because we noticed that usually in the progression of an artificer, they usually get like this one ability that kind of doesn't necessarily lean on the core mechanic, but it's just this thing that's still relevant under the umbrella of what the subclass is doing, but it's kind of special to that subclass.
Right. So in our case with it, we thought, okay, well, as an artificer, he needs to be able to do something himself that he can do. So we gave him this artificer's pinwheel. You know, those little spinning pinwheel kind of things. So the idea behind this, though, is that it casts,
Hypnotic pattern.
Yeah, hypnotic pattern.
Yeah.
But because it's the item that's casting it, not concentrating on it. See?
Yes, exactly. It's a really, really neat ability because hypnotic pattern is a really good spell. You know, it makes those enemies charmed. They can't move. They're incapacitated. And the really neat thing about it is that you don't have to use a spell slot. And again, you don't have to concentrate. So you can actually go and focus on other stuff. Even if you get hit, you can still stay with that ability. And it's interesting because when we were designing the ability, you know, what kind of thing we could do here, we wanted to make sure that this toy maker is definitely still here to help buff the party and help keep them in the fight for sure. We didn't really want to make it damaging. We didn't really want to do anything like that. We kind of went with this more like debilitating kind of effect.
Right. And there's probably going to be some limitation as to how that works. And, you know, not necessarily on how many times per day you can do it, but more like if the actual pinwheel gets hit or something like that. Because hypnotic pattern is a really powerful spell.
It's actually pretty mean.
And the only thing that actually keeps it going is the fact that it is a concentration spell. So we have to work something into that to tone it down a bit.
For sure.
But then there's also the other ability that they get there in that same field.
Yeah, so we added a minor ability to the subclass, but it helps support the core mechanics. So essentially, normally when you use a bonus action as the artificer to imaginate an item, you can only do it to one. Now at that level, you can now actually do it to two toys at the same time.
Now, it doesn't increase the number of toys that you can have because that's still based on your infusions, but it just allows you to use that imagination
kind of just faster.
To two items. Yeah, so it allows you to use those points quicker.
Right, and that's an important thing to note. It doesn't save you a point. You're burning two of those uses. I mean, even if you have an intelligence of 20, you're only going to get the 5 of those imaginations you're going to get. So yes, it's quicker, it's expedited, but you are using more charges.
And who knows? Those items could be really awesome things that you want them to be done, and you don't have that many rounds in combat.
I mean, the combat only lasts for so long. So.
Right. So again, the whole thing on this though is giving bonus actions. That I should probably let you guys know. The toys all have some sort of bonus action to them that a party member couldn't normally do, like being able to use charge or something.
Yeah, like bonus actions for the party was kind of a big focus on here, and pretty much almost all the toys will give a party member, even if it's really minor, they can do something with that bonus action in case they want to use it on the toy, or if they don't even have a bonus action available.
Right, exactly. Now that gets down to our last one here, and that's our 15th level ability that we've come up with. And we thought, share the wealth.
So, precisely.
So we wanted to actually make imaginary toys with this by having the toy maker throw out a toy box and everybody gets something.
Yeah, we're currently calling this file.exe.toybox. So, it's currently work in progress. But the idea behind it is that if you use this level 15 ability, really big ability, everybody, in the party, including yourself, is going to get a toy.
Right.
And it comes in with the imagination buff, and it's going to basically last until the end of the combat. So you get this free toy that has like a base ability plus an imagination ability, so it's already buffed, ready to go, and you get it for free.
Right, and so the big difference between that and the other infusions and all that kind of stuff, this disappears. It's literally like a spectral version of that toy.
Right, we're not trying to give people more magic items. Don't worry.
And then those the other ones that they have, like they got the horse on a stick kind of thing, the hobby horse. Each one of those stay. So like as long as the artificer still has that as his infusion, just the basic artificer rules with that, that person still has that hobby horse that they can use.
Right, and it was really interesting because I think the level 15 ability that we thought up here, it actually kind of goes off a little from the grain from what you'll see from a typical artificer. Even at level 15, when you look at the artillerist or the battle master, it's still kind of building on the core mechanic. This one kind of takes the core mechanic and kind of like, amplifies it. So we're kind of going a little off the grain. And then, of course, we'll see how it goes into playtesting. But we kind of want to try to see how it goes. I think it's a really cool ability.
I think so, too. And, some of the things that I was thinking about with this, too, is that when we get down to having that magic item or whatever, like the actual ones that stay. Yeah. I think what's interesting is after the long rest, where the artificer, the Toymaker gets back those imagination points, so to speak.
Yes, yeah.
I think the base magic items should lose their imagination.
Right.
So therefore, it allows the artificer to go, okay, again, imagine on that.
Yeah, so, exactly.
There's going to be a lot of stuff with that. And I really have been enjoying the process of making this with you. I have to tell you, it's been a lot of fun.
And let me tell you, of all the ones we could have done, not only did we do an artificer, of course we had to do one that had 20 new items kind of like packed in there. So that's kind of been, sometimes it's kind of hard, or you get a little like writer's block when you're trying to think them up, but it's also been a lot of fun.
We forgot to mention that the toys that come out of the toy chest are completely random. Everybody at the table rolls a D20, and then you tell them what toy they got.
Yeah, and there is going to be a chart that you can actually roll on to see what toy you get. It could be something useful or maybe not, but it's going to be a random toy. It comes in buffed, but it kind of adding that like random fun kind of aspect to it. So it's actually really cool.
Yeah, so I think that's going to wrap it up for this one. We're getting up to our 13-minute mark here. I know how you guys love long videos from us.
Of course.
But we do have to mention we are ending up doing the artwork for this ourselves because we haven't really received much artwork. Which is fine. We didn't expect that to be a thing. We have a backup plan. Don't worry. It's going to be great. If you do still want to submit artwork for this, go ahead and send it to us. HBCForgeFridays@gmail.com.
That's the one. And not to mention, after we finish the Toymaker, there's going to be a lot of other creations that we're going to be making that will also require artwork. So in case you couldn't think of something for the Toymaker, if you're good at drawing items or monsters or anything like that, you can still send them to that email address as well.
Right. And our next one, I think what we're going to do new spells for the new year.
Yes. What better way to ring in the new year with a little bit of new magic?
All right. Exactly. So that's going to wrap up this video here. So remember, the best campaigns are always the ones that are homebrewed. Until next time,
keep brewing.